Welcome back to Twin City Sports Talk. Minnesota sports is ruining my life right now, but we still have to do a show because we are men of the people. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm just glad that Tom Brady's going to his 10th Super Bowl. How about you?
If Tom Brady wins it, I'm going to put one in the back of my head.
Write that down, folks. Write that down. Write that down. Save that. No, I'm writing that in my phone.
You should make that one of your predictions this week, but I won't do that. Wait, but then you can't do that because if he doesn't win, whatever. All right. So the Wild got off to a nice start, 4-1, and then they dropped a bad game against San Jose, and they lost it late yesterday against the Kings. We're recording this Wednesday, so just for future reference. The Wild have had a rough go here the last few games. The first period has been kind of abysmal the last few, just no shots on net. You're not going to score if you don't put things on goal. It's just been really rough seeing this team. I mean, I can't watch it because I guess formerly Fox Sports North isn't on anything, but hopefully they can fix their stuff, get it back on TV so I can watch these stupid teams play and break my heart night after night.
I'm just processing this. You're suffering. I love to see it.
Yeah, I am suffering. I mean, I've just tuned out of the Timberwolves. I mean, Cat got COVID. What have they done? Nothing. Didn't they
What's
beat
the
someone?
record right now?
I think they hold on. They beat someone. I have to check on who they beat. No, but back to the Wild here. I mean, it's just a bright spot. Joel Eriksson Ek, he's played pretty nice. Had a goal last night, the only one that they scored. But I mean, Kaprizov's had a nice start. Hasn't scored a goal since the OT winner in Game 1, and really sucks. Talbot got hurt a few nights ago, so I mean, Kakinen played nice in that first game against San Jose. Didn't play all that well in the second, and then I mean, 2 goals isn't bad by any means last night, but the offense just couldn't back him up there, which really stinks. Sorry. They beat.
Sorry, I have some breaking football news. Whenever we get.
What happened?
Jason Witten is retiring.
Shocker.
And he signed a 1-day contract with the Cowboys. And
Another
supposedly,
shocker.
The Niners are now the number 1 guy for Matt Stafford, as well as Jared Goff's future being uncertain. Eli Manning might be signing a potential deal with the Giants to get inside the organization, and then supposedly Aaron Rodgers is going to leave. He's going to stay with Green Bay for a little bit longer, but according to Jason LaConfora, he's convinced a bitter divorce is pending between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
So why'd you mess up my hockey talk? You interrupted it.
Who cares about hockey?
I care about hockey.
Loser.
Look, they're the only good team in the state right now. I need it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyways, yeah, the Wolves beat New Orleans. Cool. First win since Cat got COVID. God. That team just... it's disgusting. All right, so moving back on here to the Wild. As I said before, Joel Eriksson Ek's having a nice year. I mean, he has 4 goals, leads the team so far, but he is playing on that third line there with Jordan Greenway and Marcus Foligno. Do you consider moving him up to that first line with Kirill Kaprizov to give him that number 1 center he just doesn't have right now with Bonino and Bukestad?
Okay, so before I even start, a note to the viewers, I know barely anything about hockey, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Just kind of going off of...
Torch him in the comments.
Shut up. It's a boring sport. Who cares? Anyways.
Yeah, go right ahead. Lay into it.
I mean, what's the point? For real. If a player is being productive at the current spot that he's at, and if he's working around well with the guys that he's surrounded with, what's the point in moving him?
Well, the thing is...
Go ahead.
Kaprizov has such a high ceiling. I mean, you've seen flashes. He had the OT winner Game 1. He's had 5 assists so far, 6 points on the year, but you've seen just flashes where he's nearly scored an incredible goal, and just He doesn't have a playmaker with him right now in the center position. He doesn't have anyone to feed him the puck. He's playing with Nick Bonino and Bukestad. I mean, there's no way you can say that that's a effective way for him to score. If you put someone like Eriksson Ek up there on the first line with him, you can create a lot more scoring opportunities for him and potentially get him into that breakout position that he should be in right now.
Well, you're probably right. I'm going to compare this to the NBA a little bit. So think about a starting roster for the NBA. You can have one really talented guy and have only okay players with him, and the synergy will still work. I mean, these guys are professional players. They, generally speaking, when you're on a team, you bond with them. What's the point in shaking up the lineup if he already has decent like synergy with the guys that he's playing with? And I'm sure that that's a coaching thing that they can just work it out to eventually where not only is he playing at his best, well, maybe not his best quite yet, but playing very well. Maybe he can get the other players around him to play a little bit better, to step it up a little bit more, because that's the way it works in the NBA. You can have one star player like LeBron can make or break a team. So think of it like comparing a bench to another bench, just in a different sport, and how one player can make a difference and ultimately make a change. Because you never know, he could just turn it around. I don't think it's worth it because they're already doing well this year. No,
they are
in their division at least.
The difference between hockey and basketball is, in basketball, you can have that single dominant guy on a team and perform. In hockey, that's not so much a forward rather than it is a goalie, because I mean, you see the Oilers, they have McDavid, Draisaitl, and they haven't made. I mean, they made it last year, lost in the first playing round, but they've had a rough go at it. So it doesn't depend solely on one guy on the offense. It depends on how your how your lines work and how your chemistry is with each other. And Eck does have great chemistry right now with Greenway and Foligno, but you really do, I think, have to take a serious look at putting him up there with Kaprizov, because Kaprizov is possibly the most talented player on the Minnesota Wild since Marian Gaborik in the early 2000s. They haven't seen a talent like Kirill Kaprizov in ages. He has the potential to be the greatest player in their franchise's history. And if you don't have one of those playmakers with him who can give him the puck and let him score, it's going to be rough having all that talent. You're going to waste it.
So what Minnesota should end up doing is, possibly switch up. You can switch up the line temporarily, right? It doesn't really matter. They're not set in stone.
Yeah, you can switch it up temporarily.
What they should do is give it a trial, like give it a test run.
That would be smart.
Comparing the way that he plays now with the current players that he's surrounded with
versus
with the new ones.
What they should do long term is trade away Dumba and get an actual center, because right now they don't have one.
I mean, how old is he?
Shoot, he's not that old, I don't think.
Like, what kind of players do you think you could get in return, or draft capital could you get in return for him? Because those are all decisions that go into any trade in any sport.
He's 26. I mean, before.
So he's young.
Yeah, Pierre-Luc Dubois I wanted him before he got traded. Obviously, knowing what he got traded for now, there was no way you were going to get him. But you do have to start looking at centers and trying to find. I mean, Eric Stahl would have been great, but you traded him. Eric Stahl is exactly what the Wild need right now. They can't win faceoffs.
Okay, so would you rather trade him away for draft capital or for a new player?
New player, hands down.
100% new player.
I'm always in favor of trading. This is why, I mean, obviously, kind of shifting away from hockey here. Obviously, it worked out, but if I was Buffalo, I would have been over the moon for trading away picks for Diggs, because I know Diggs is good. I don't know what I'm getting with Justin Jefferson. Obviously, it worked out.
We didn't know he was the number one receiver, though. We knew he was a good enough talent to be one, but he didn't really have the coaching.
You knew he was good, and that applies with hockey. I'd rather get a player who I know can perform at the pro level than I would trying to draft someone and scout that myself.
I mean, that was the trade of the year. Do you really think that trade would have been the trade of the year for the NHL?
What?
The Stephon Diggs trade was the best trade in the NFL this past year. Yeah. Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
Do you think that the Wild could get enough draft capital for it? Something along the lines of the best trade in the league that year?
No, because Minnesota doesn't do that. Just as a sports market in general, they don't typically make big splashy moves. I mean, the Twins got Simmons yesterday. I mean, cool. We'll get into that later. I guess they have, and I guess I'm kind of.
They don't make big flashy. Ever heard of a name Randy Moss? The most flashiest player, arguably, in NFL history.
I'm talking in terms of like transactions and free agency or whatever, like trades and free agency.
Well, sure, there's a lot of teams that don't sign a lot of. But look at the Patriots. They signed a bunch of janitors to their roster, and they still turned out great.
I mean, I guess I'm kind of wrong there. I guess I'm not thinking through. I mean, Twins got Donaldson, Wolves got D'Lo, Wild got Zach and Suter. That's 9 years ago now. Forget about that one. But I mean, there have been moves in the past, but for the most part, like there are a lot of guys out there that that seem like they would be a great fit, but then they just don't.
I mean, that's just kind of how sports goes, though. I mean, I honestly think that team is better off trading away for draft capital. If that's what historically is that what they've done? Like the Wild during their entire their run as a team, do they just normally go instead of big free agent signings, they go for the draft capital? Because to me, it sounds like 26 in hockey is like right in their prime, right? Roughly.
Yeah.
So what I would do is trade for a project, considering that they're not in championship contention right now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So why not go and build for the future?
Yeah, well, I mean, what was his name? The terrible GM that they had a few years, Paul Fenton. I mean, that's what he was doing. He was trading away the entire roster and trying to get younger. Some of them were terrible. The Victor Ask trade was maybe the dumbest trade ever. I mean, some of them are great. Kevin Fiala is now a superstar, not superstar. He's a star in the league, potentially superstar. If you look at how Bill Guerin's built this roster right now, it's less of the random moves that it looked like Fenton was making, and it's more methodical in the way he's doing things. He traded Zucker away for some draft capital, which I like the move, getting younger still. And I mean, knowing he had Kaprizov coming up and he has Fiala there, and then he went out, signed a goaltender in Cam Talbot, got hurt, which stinks. But I mean, and then you have Kakinen right behind him, ready to come up. So it feels like Guerin is doing what Fenton tried to do, but just better. Which is why I think he could pull off a Dumba trade and make it work.
I mean, this is all your intuition, really. I don't know too much about hockey, but I'm sure you're right. Historically, let me say this now. Historically, in almost all sports, it is better to trade for draft capital of the future rather than someone that could play for you now. There haven't been a lot of trades, have there? That have been like really splashed in any sports team.
Recently, I mean, the Diggs trade, but recently
the Diggs trade, sure, but like all time.
All time, I mean, there have been tons of huge trades.
I'm saying that there's more trade busts than there is successful ones. Think about the great train robbery of the 90s where the Cowboys traded away, oh God, what was his name?
Herschel.
Thank you. The Herschel.
Don't bring that up. Don't bring that up.
the Herschel.
Oh, okay, we're moving on. On to basketball. Nice talk. Cool. All right.
What about the great trade robbery? What's your problem with that?
We're moving on from that.
Is that right?
We're moving on from
Feels bad, doesn't it?
We're moving on from that.
Great guy.
All right.
Same with Evan Smith.
So, yeah, we're just on to basketball.
How about them Timberwolves, huh?
Yeah, they hurt me too.
They don't hurt me. I feel great.
Yeah, be quiet. Yeah, they stink. Cat has COVID. Team can't play basketball.
Where did he catch COVID from?
I don't know. Hey,
did he break protocol? Dwayne Haskins type beat?
Jaden McDaniels has looked nice. Rookie out of Washington.
Didn't you have the number 1 pick in the draft? And didn't you also say they were going for the play-in? Yeah, how's that prediction going?
I made it very clear. Rewatch that video. I said, assuming Cat plays.
He's not their LeBron James. He's not.
Then why do they have 2 wins without him?
Just the way the cookie crumbles.
Just the way they shut up. Look, Anthony Edwards had a nice dunk over Wiseman. That was cool. He hasn't done.
Yeah, how many wins? How many wins? How many wins? Dunks
4.
are great and all. How many wins?
4.
Whole 4.
What are you trying to say? They stink. They're
That's
dog
exactly what I'm
water.
trying to say. Is that they're
a terrible team. I don't know what you're trying to say that I don't already agree with. The Wolves are a terrible team. They need to fire Ryan Saunders. He can't coach. His lineups stink. I mean, we need to give him a chance with Cat and D'Lo together. Oh, shut up. You can get wins against the Memphis Grizzlies without both of them on the court.
Yeah, didn't you predict they were going to sweep the Grizzlies?
I predicted they would win, and then they blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead because Ryan cannot coach.
So who do you suggest they get either in free agency or trade for a coach?
Coach, I don't know. I don't know basketball enough to tell you that, but I do know that Ryan Saunders can't friggin' coach a team.
Is there any free agents that you think they need to sign now? Or should they just try and tank for a number 1 pick? Yeah.
They should not tank. Should they tank?
Should they? They just had. Who did they pick number 1 overall again?
Anthony Edwards. They have a top 3 protected pick. If they don't get a top 3 pick, their pick goes to the Warriors. Tanking is extremely risky, but this team is so bad now, depending on how long Cat's out with the shortened season. If you don't sign another player, if you don't sign was Rondé Hollis-Jefferson picked up by anyone?
I think he was.
He was?
I think he was.
I'll check that. But if you don't trade for a PJ Tucker, I mean, what are you gonna do as a team? Your team can't play basketball.
I got the solution. Taco Fall. Perfect guy. Lots of chemistry. He's 8 feet tall. He'll fit straight in. There's your new LeBron. How do you feel?
Wikipedia still has him listed as the Timberwolves, so I'm going to say he's a free agent. Sign Rondé, trade for PJ Tucker. You have power forwards now. You can finally put together a team, especially if you get Cat back. I don't understand what Gerson Rosas is doing. He's done well with the team so far. There are just moves out there that need to be made that just aren't being made, and I have no idea why.
It's just how it is. I mean, I don't really know what to tell you.
Okay.
Would you say that they are one of the worst teams in NBA history?
No, I would say they're the worst team in NBA history.
Okay, so do me a favor. What's the Knicks record right now? Because I'm bringing this Knicks comparison back. Nikolai, do you believe that the Timberwolves are the next New York Knicks?
What do you mean the next? They're already worse than the Knicks.
I mean, where they are a true laughingstock for long periods of time.
Are they not already a laughingstock?
I mean, they were okay last year. They weren't great, but they signed.
They got the number 1 pick last year.
They showed flashes of hope. The Knicks had no hope.
The Knicks didn't have the number 1 pick.
The Knicks didn't need the number 1 pick because they're already better than the Timberwolves.
That's true. All right, moving away from this depressing subject of Minnesota basketball.
On to more depressing matters.
That is true. No, these next two conversations are going to be positive. They're going to be all happy.
Yeah, positive. -4 rings. -4 rings.
I want to end this stupid
positive subject.
Right
hey,
now.
How's that 15-1 season going? Oh wait, Gary Anderson kick a field goal. We smoking that Vikings.
You're going to be
today.
the sole reason for a negative dislike to like ratio.
I honestly don't care.
All right. God.
We smoking that Vikings.
We're going to look forward to the future here in these next 2 conversations.
Yeah,
Vikings
nothing says great future like signing Doug Pederson to be our next offensive coordinator. Doesn't
he won a Super Bowl. Head coaches don't win a Super Bowl for no reason.
I don't care. Doug Pederson is an idiot, and he cannot coach.
In the NFL,
I just want. Hold on. You want to tell the viewers and myself that Doug Pederson, a man that cannot play call for his life, where he had 2 excellent running backs in Philadelphia and never ran the ball.
Who?
Oh God, that one kid they got out of
Boston Scott and Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders is a phenomenal running back. He's just so under.
He's not Dalvin Cook. He's not anywhere near Dalvin.
I never said.
He's not even top 10.
what I'm worried about is we talked about this a couple of years back too. They weren't using Dalvin Cook enough. I'm worried that if you sign Doug Peterson, they're not going to run the ball. Statistically, he throws the ball
Honestly,
almost more
that's
than any other
fine.
coach.
That's fine. They need to throw the
You
Daniel. I brought this up after the Tampa game. It's 2nd and 2. Throw the ball downfield. Don't keep running up the gut. The
But
biggest
running it up the
flaws
gut works.
the biggest flaws in Peterson's game are the in-game management. The when to go for it on 4th down, when
Like
to kick
Jason
a field goal,
Sudfeld or Nate
when to go
Sudfeld
for
in at quarterback.
You take all of that away from him if he's an offensive coordinator. You just have him calling plays.
He was the Eagles play caller, Nikolai.
He's the head coach, makes decisions on whether to go for or not, whether to go for 2 or go for 1.
He went for on 4th down a couple of years back when he won the Super Bowl more than any other team in NFL history. I'm pretty sure.
I know, but that's taken out of his hands because after that year, it blew up in his face. Look, I think Doug Peterson would be a great option for the Vikings offensive coordinator. Like I said, in basketball, I think the players dictate success more than anything else. In baseball, it's probably the GM and how the roster is built. In football, it is the head coach. Right? It is. You look at
I would argue
the
it's
great
more
head
the coordinators than anything.
No, it's the head coach. It's the head coach and how he can rally the team.
Mm-hmm.
Play calling plays a big role, but it's all under the head coach's scheme. That's why you have head coaching trees starting at the top and not at the coordinator level. Look, if you can, Peterson was under Andy Reid, right?
Believe so, yeah.
So I still believe in Peterson. I don't think he's a head coach. I think he lost that team fast after he put
Nate Sudfeld.
Okay, I was right. After he put him in the game, he lost the locker room. But as an OC, where he doesn't have to make those decisions and he can actually just call plays, I think he could work really well because you don't win a Super Bowl by pure chance. You just don't.
I mean, you kind of do. The Jets made it to the AFC Championship by chance just because.
Look,
they're the Jets.
I get Gary Kubiak won a Super Bowl, but that wasn't. I guess it actually kind of was recently, but
only 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago that Pederson won it. Dang.
No, 2, 3.
About to be 4.
Well, we're on 55 or 54 is the Super Bowl.
55.
56.
Oh, it is only 3.
Dang. Yeah, 3 years.
I was thinking. Oh yeah, okay, I guess. Yep, never mind. I was thinking it's 2021. It was the 2017-18 season, so I counted 4 there. No, you're right. It is only 3. My bad.
That was the most heartbreaking year in Super Bowl history.
I think both of us hated that year.
We smoke in that Eagles pack?
No, the Eagles smoke in our packs. But Doug Peterson, I think he didn't win a lot last year. That worries me.
No, he really didn't win a lot last year.
Still, having a head coach that won a Super Bowl so recently, especially a coach that a lot of the guys on the Vikings lost to in 2017, I think that would benefit the team offensively, especially having a newer, fresher offensive mind in the building that's not going to run the ball in every dang play.
They really didn't run the ball on every play. They used Dalvin, which was good, but they needed to open up the play action game a little bit more.
They need to just pass it more. You can't. They need to throw it downfield. You did it last year.
A reminder of when Kirk was playing great, and then he sucked at the beginning of the season 2 years ago, where he only threw like 8 passes in a game.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Kirk isn't as good as people play him out to be, in my opinion. I know he got extended, but is he really a playoff caliber quarterback? Because
yes,
in my opinion, this relies more on Kirk than it does their offensive coordinator. Because the reason, in my opinion, the reason that they didn't throw the ball as much is because they didn't have faith in Kirk being a quarterback.
Look, Kirk Cousins is certainly a playoff caliber quarterback, and he is certainly, secondary aside, a playoff caliber roster around him. Actually, throw special teams out too. But
so offense and the front 7 is what you're saying.
Yes.
That's half a roster, Nikolai.
You know what? I think the secondary will improve next year, and there's literally no way the special teams can get worse. But Kirk
I'm
Cousins,
holding you to that statement. There is no way the special team gets worse.
there's no way.
I smell cap.
Look, you saw it in 1920 with Kirk and Stephon Diggs just launching balls down the field.
1920. I'm pretty sure Kirk Cousins wasn't born in 1920.
2019, 2020. Sorry.
And that makes more sense.
Yeah, it does. But you saw it that season where Kirk was just launching stuff deep to Stephon Diggs, and he was catching it for touchdowns over and over, time and time again. And you have a burner like that in Justin Jefferson. And there were so many times where I was screaming at my TV, "Why aren't you throwing it deep?" And Doug Pederson would fix that, I think.
I think Doug would throw the ball a little bit too much to where Kirk wouldn't be comfortable.
Okay. The other offensive coordinator candidate the Vikings could have, I think he's the odds-on favorite right now, Gary Kubiak's son, Clint Kubiak. I like that idea too. Young offensive mind. That's what the NFL is shifting towards. And he could really benefit the team. I think that's definitely more of a wild card, but I would like to try that out too. Either of those two, I would be happy with. I would be really happy with either of those two candidates.
I mean, whatever you really want. I have no opinion on this matter, to be honest with you. I don't really care. I don't care.
Wonderful.
Because Pederson is useless, in my opinion.
Pederson is still I think he would be a good coordinator.
Whatever you say.
Whatever. Moving on. Twins signed shortstop Andrelton Simmons to a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million. He is an extremely good defensive upgrade from what the Twins have. Polanco is now going to move to second. Arias will shift to a utility role. Twins, great move. Next year, they still need to make moves. Don't get me wrong. They need to re-sign Nelson Cruz. DH is now there's no universal DH anymore. They need to re-sign Nelly. They need to go get another pitcher, and if they do, they're in great shape for a third straight division title. And I swear to God, if they don't win a playoff game this year, there's no way they lose. There's no way they get swept again. There's no way. They can't. Can't do it.
Didn't they? They definitely can. It's definitely possible.
There's no way they get swept again.
Hey, bro, weren't they the number 1 seed 2 years ago and then lost in the first round of the playoffs? They were the number
3 seed. They got swept by the Yankees.
That's tough. That is tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I remember I was up in the film booth at a football game, and they were up. And then as soon as I left on the bus ride back, everything falls and burns. That was miserable. All right. Moving away from that, getting into some picks here for this week. No NFL games this week, and I'm not going to do hockey or basketball because that doesn't happen weekly, and it's not as fun to do it on a weekly show. So we're just having 5 predictions here. I went 2-1 last week, 2 for 3, or 2 weeks ago, I guess now. Cat did have a double-double on that game against Memphis, but they did blow that 10-point fourth quarter lead, so didn't get that one right. I did get my 2 divisional round picks right. You got both your divisional round picks right as well, so I am 5 for 13, 385. Yeah, not great. 10 points. You're 9 of 12, 750, 18 points. Not much has changed there. So my first pick of the week, I'm saying the Wild are going to win at least 1 game this week. That will end next Tuesday when we record the show. It's just a free throw. I want points. How you doing? Keep it moving. What's your pick?
I say that Drew Brees retires by the end of the next season. Before the start of the next one. It's pretty apparent that he's done.
Yeah, wish I picked that. You know what? I'm going to just get a really easy prediction like you did. Alex Smith is winning comeback player of the year.
Imagine if Roethlisberger wins. Imagine.
There's no way. There's no way.
I don't think so either, but imagine if he does.
I will be really upset if he does.
He did have a better season than Alex Smith, but still.
But Alex Smith
could have died.
He almost died. No. What's your second pick?
Aaron Rodgers is MVP. I think it's kind of obvious at this point. Threw over 50
Yeah.
touchdowns throughout the season.
Yeah.
Mind you, threw 3 picks in the NFC Championship game, but that's just how the cookie
Yeah.
crumbles. But it don't matter. It don't matter.
I'm reaching a little further on this next one. Kirill Kaprizov is going to score a goal this week for the Minnesota Wild. Don't know against who. Don't know when it will be. But he is going to score a goal. Your next
Fair
pick.
enough. Stefanski wins Coach of the Year, which I'm not going to say it's obvious because Andy Reid, of course, 3 straight home AFC championships. But I'm pretty sure Stefanski ending that Cleveland 20+ year drought. I'm pretty sure he's got that on lock.
Yeah, I wish the Vikings could have kept him.
Yeah, well they didn't. So L.
Yeah, it hurts.
Go.
All right. Matthew Stafford will be traded, and the trade will involve at least 1 first-round pick.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair.
Yours.
I'm going to say that the Colts trade up and get a quarterback in the draft. They have no one. Jacoby Brissett is Jacoby Brissett. I like him. I don't think he's a starting caliber quarterback. I think he's a very, very above average backup, though.
You know, it'd be hilarious if the Colts trade for if the Colts trade for Matthew Stafford. So I'm right and you're wrong.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be.
I mean, the Niners are supposedly the number 1 pick for him right now.
Yeah,
which makes sense to me. Garoppolo is washed. I don't care what anyone says. Garoppolo is not starting caliber.
Who has the better roster?
That's a hot take.
Who has the better roster right now, the Colts or the Niners? Quarterback
probably
aside.
the Colts. Probably the Colts. Just because the Niners are so. If you discount injuries.
Discounting injuries. Probably the Niners because they're receivers.
Who do they have? Brandon Ayuk and who else?
Deebo Samuel.
Irrelevant.
Because isn't T.Y. Hilton leaving Indy?
I don't think we really have I don't know if we have any details on that just yet.
Huh.
But I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Really, I feel like they need a number 1 running back. Who did they have last year that was really good? Raheem Mostert, right?
Last year, that was 2 years ago.
That was last year. They went to the Super Bowl and Raheem Mostert was their number 1 guy.
Sorry. They're out of the playoffs. I thought last year was this past season. Whatever.
They should have won the Super Bowl last year. Just saying.
Nah. Speaking of which, Mahomes is going to win Super Bowl MVP.
It's fat cap.
That's my last pick. That's my last pick.
Happening.
3-pointer. Let's get it.
I said that Watson is traded to the Patriots. I don't really like this pick, but it's entirely possible. At least he's on the board in Vegas, so.
If that happens, that will be extremely upsetting to NFL fans everywhere. All right. Not a wonderful show this week. Not much to talk about because the Wolves and Wild are both on losing streaks. But that's what you get when you're in Minnesota.
You signed up for this.
Yeah, I did sign up for this. Enjoy your week, viewers. We will be back here on Wednesday making
Stay safe.
Giving you our predictions and talking Minnesota sports and how much we hate it.
How much you hate it? I'm loving it.
Shut up.